Hey, and welcome back to my 5-part series on conducting effective political investigations that can expose unfit political candidates and keep them from getting elected. Like many of you, I'm fed up with unfit political candidates getting elected to office who, intoxicated by their power and hell-bent on forcing everyone to live the way they want to live and the way they want us to live, are gutting our rights to health care, to voting, and public education, and punishing anyone who does not look like them, act like them, or believe in the things they believe in. In the first video of this 5-part series, I introduced you to the basic elements involved in conducting a political investigation, and most importantly, how to do them effectively enough to convince voters not to vote for those candidates willing to use their power to harm our communities. In the second video, we covered how to build an investigation using the different types of public records, what sources are most effective, the types of information you can find, and how to access those records. In the third video, we discussed how to identify and interview people with relevant information and how to work with them in a way that allows them to feel comfortable enough to come forward. In this video, we're going to discuss how to assess the results of your investigation to determine which information is corroborated enough to bring forward and to identify what follow-up work you need to do in order to bring other information forward if you're even able to do that. And in the final video in this 5-part series, we'll cover how to package the information to give to the media and bloggers or to bring directly to the voters. By the way, in the description below, you'll also find links to the previous videos in this series. Hi, I'm Mike Corwin. I train democratically aligned interest groups and individuals how to reshape local elections by investigating and exposing to the voters political candidates who are unfit for office. I've been featured in Professional Investigator magazine and Politico magazine, both of whom sought me out to write articles for their readers on conducting political investigations. I started out conducting investigations to build cases for attorneys in 1988 in Los Angeles, California. In 2002, I began conducting political investigations in New Mexico, where I impacted the outcome of hundreds of races by the time I retired in 2019. I actually used this approach that I teach myself when I ran for the State House in New Mexico in 2004 and seriously outperformed and overperformed the typical results for Democrats running in the overwhelmingly Republican district where I lived. And if you're ready to get started investigating, I've got a great gift for you, my free political investigation checklist. Here you'll find the sources of information that I used to investigate and expose unfit candidates and to keep them from winning elections. To get started, just click on the link in the description below. Now, let's dig in. So you've been conducting your investigation. You're building an arsenal of information. Some of it you've been able to support, some of it you haven't yet. You've got documents, maybe you have notes of interviews or even interview summaries or even recordings of people you've spoken with. You've got all of this information out there. Now, how do you assess it to know whether it's strong enough to bring forward and if you need to do any other follow-up work or if it's good to go right then and there? So here's the approach I like to take. I like to write down the piece of information that I'm trying to prove. So let's say it was in that lawsuit where they were accused of fraud and misrepresentation by a former business partner. So first thing you have to have is the fact pattern that's involved with that, and how do you prove that? Do you have court documents that show that? Maybe even depositions from that lawsuit that have sworn testimony? Or maybe you have a recording of an interview or notes of an interview with the person that brought the lawsuit. As long as you have something that will stand up to scrutiny. Let's say the candidate challenges you and says, that never happened. That's just fake news. If you can produce the documents or you can include them, provide them to the media, include them in your mailers, anything, you cite the source, you say civil case number 2018-so-and-so, the name of the parties involved, and you use quotes for the specific parts. That is corroboration, and you've got the documents. Now, sometimes you might be able to scan the documents, or the reporters might be able to do that. If you feel after reading all of the documents that were connected to the allegations that it doesn't feel like they met the burden where it feels like you feel comfortable, then either you're going to need to do some more work, or you're going to need to let that allegation go and go on to the next one and see if you can prove that, or if you have proven that. You can do an easy, simple chart, with the information on it and what documents are, what the quotes are from those documents, what the quotes are from the person you interviewed, and see if you meet that burden. Now, keep in mind, you don't need to follow the rules of evidence, but you do need to convince the voters. And because my background and training and work for 30 years within the legal community, the belief that the voter is sort of the trier of fact. You have to convince the voter that your information is supported and is legitimate and is accurate, and just like you would a judge or a jury. So that's always been my mindset. And with the groups, when I work with them, that's what I talk about, is that you need to basically be able to convince a reasonable person that the information is accurate and real and that it matters. You need to judge the information that you have and prioritize it. You obviously want to go with the most powerful stuff. You don't want to save the best for last. You want to go on the most powerful stuff you have, corroborate it, prove it, run with that, and then you can build on top of that. Saving the best for last really doesn't work so much anymore between early voting and mail-in voting, and the fact that there's so much noise when it comes to elections, that there's this group is saying this, that group is saying this, and it can get lost. The other thing is you want to think about what the candidates' people are going to say to try to counter this information, and you want to put out this information in such a way as to undercut their ability to do that. You want to basically prevent them from weakening what you have to say. So as you evaluate the information, think about what their response is going to be. If you've got document after document that supports it, let them claim fake news and then release all of the documents. You have the ability to do that. Or get it to a reporter and have them release the document. What do you do if you're not quite there? As you look at the information and you look at your corroboration and you think it's not there yet, think about the alternate ways that you can go to get additional information to lock that down. Are there other people you can talk to? If yes, then you have to start that process again and go out and talk to them and get the information from them. Are there other sources, maybe news articles that you have not found? Maybe you heard about a case that was filed or a police report that was reported and you don't have it, then you want to try to go out and get those. You need to see what else you can find. If after trying other people, if trying to find the documents, if looking at licensing files or any of the different things, you cannot find that corroborating information, then the very best thing that you can do is just let it go, or maybe give a tip to a blogger or a reporter and see if they can work on it, but don't you go forward with it. It's too easy to undercut, and every time that you get undercut, you damage the strength of the work that you're doing. So you don't want to create that opportunity. You don't want to look like you're making allegations that aren't proven yet. So keep that down, and if you have to let it go, then let it go. And if you're ready to get started investigating, I've got a great gift for you, my free political investigation checklist. Here you'll find the main types of sources of information that I use to expose these unfit candidates to the public and to keep them from winning elections. To get started, just click on the link in the description below.